Hi everyone, welcome to my Facebook Live this week. My name's Mandy Witherby and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Sydney, Australia. Welcome and thank you for being here today. I hope you all had a great weekend and looking forward to a good week this week. So let me just grab my notes, and I want to make sure that I don't miss telling you anything. And while we're waiting for a few people to jump on, I'll just call up this live on my iPad. So just give me a moment while I do that. And then I'll be able to see all of your comments. Okay. Great. Now I can see all of your comments. Hi Laurie, how are you going? How was your weekend? How are things over there? We've had quite a few more cases here in Australia of coronavirus, specifically down south, but also here in New South Wales as well, and in my local area too, and where I work. Not at my actual work, but in the area where I work. So yes, so it's getting a little bit scary again. Hi Athena, great to see you. Sorry about that, somebody just tried to call me. That was very bad timing. Oh, you had to work on the weekend, did you? Oh, that's not fun. Yes, thank you. My weekend was good. Yesterday was a rainy old day all day. I didn't do too much. Tried to take a bit of time off just to relax and watched a few YouTube videos and things like that in between other things that I had to do. Did a bit of designing, created another new project for an upcoming class I have. So yeah, a few bits and pieces there. And so as you're jumping on, say hi so that I know that you're here. And I appreciate you all joining me today. So I've got, yes, yeah, really good to just have a bit of downtime. Felt like I needed it. So yeah, oh, I'm gonna have to slip up. I've got my slippers on. I usually have my slippers on here at the desk, but I need to slip them off right now because now I'm under the lights and I'm talking. I'm heating up a bit. So I'll take them off. I might even take my socks off too. My feet were so cold this morning. It's a really cold, miserable day today. And yeah, it's been raining a little bit too this morning. Not as much as yesterday though. Yesterday was pouring all day. Okay, so as you are jumping on, remember to say hi, comment, give me some thumbs up and likes and loves. That really helps me a lot and it's great encouragement for me too, and I really appreciate that. If you are watching the replay later, feel free to still put your comments in there because I do go back and review those, so I will see those, hopefully, so long as Facebook decides to hide them. As long as Facebook doesn't decide to hide them, I should say, because sometimes Facebook does some funny things. And if you're watching on YouTube later on, say hi, give me a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you never miss any of my videos, and click on the little bell icons, which is going to be up on the right hand side, so that you'll be sure of being notified every time I post a new video. So hi Alison, how are you? Oh, hi Betty, thank you for joining us. Great to have you here today. So I had on Saturday, actually, we had our my technique club, and at the moment my technique club is running virtually online because of COVID and we can't meet in person. So it's a lot of fun, and each month a lot of you have probably heard me talk about it, but some of you may not have. Each month I present a new technique to the ladies that are participating. Hi Julie. And it's a lot of fun. So we have a technique folder where we keep samples of each of those techniques. So we make our little sample to go into our folder with a supply list of the things you need for the technique, and then also some instructions of how to do the technique. And then we do 2 full projects as well using that technique, and I have full PDF tutorial as well as video tutorial as well. So it's a lot of fun. And if you're not already part of my technique club and you would like more information about that, please let me know, because I always love to have new people coming along to my technique club. So every month is a different technique, and it's a lot of fun. I've already got the new one planned for August, even though we've only just finished our July one. I already know what we're doing for August, so that should be great. Hey Robin, how are you? Great to see you today. Yeah, so the ladies did a great job. Some of them have posted their projects up in my classes and workshop Facebook group, and they did an awesome job and they really enjoyed it. We did the reflection technique, so it was new to some of them, and they did a fantastic job playing with that one. They really enjoyed it, so that's great. Hi Jenny, how are you? Oh, you've been scanning your new mini catalog. Awesome. I'm going to be talking about that in a moment. So currently we have got, I'm really excited that you're excited, Jenny. That's so cool. At the moment, we have got our bonus days promotion. So there's only one more week for that, for this. Is it one more week? Yes, one more week. It finishes next Monday on the 3rd of August. So with bonus days, if you're not familiar with this promotion, for every $90 that you spend, you'll receive a $9 coupon. And then that $9 coupon you can redeem next month from the 4th of August till the end of August, which is fantastic because our new mini catalog is coming out next month, actually on the 4th of August. So if you have bonus days vouchers that you've earned from this month, if you would like to, you can redeem them. Let me move over this way. You can redeem them to go towards your orders in August. And if you're ordering from the new mini catalog, that would be awesome. You'll get some great discounts then on these products. So this new catalog is so beautiful. So many people have, I've had people already wanting to place their orders, and I've had to say to them, hang on, it's not ready yet. We've got to wait until the 4th of August, but they're so keen, they're so excited by all of the beautiful new products in the August to December mini catalog. So if you don't already have one of these and you don't already have a demonstrator in Australia that you're working with, please let me know, because I would love to send you one out. So send me a message. Private message is best so that I make sure that I get that, rather than leaving a comment here in Facebook, because as I said, sometimes Facebook hides some of the comments. They don't always show me all of them. So send me a private message, and I do have a message facility available at the top of my business page. You'll see there's a little message button. You can just click on that and then you can send me a message that way. All right, so we also have, as you know, our beautiful annual catalog. And again, if you don't already have one of these, I'd love to get one of these out to you as well. So let me know. And this is bumper packed full of so many beautiful, beautiful products. We've got lots of stamps and dies and punches, all of our inks and our coloring tools, our Stampin' Blends, which is our alcohol markers, and our Stampin' Write markers, which is our water-based markers. Got all our tools in there, all our designer series paper, which is our patterned papers, and all of our cardstock as well as probably lots of other things I've forgotten to mention. Oh, all the embellishments and the ribbons. Can never have enough of those, hey. So this one is a great catalog to have as well. It's got all of your staple products in there. And then of course we've got our little beginner brochure as well, which has some awesome products in there as well. If you are new to stamping, you're just getting going and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, this one is the one for you, because this will give you a collection of products. It'll show you which products you need to make some projects, and it'll get you started. So this is a great one as well. If you don't have one of these, let me know too. I'd love to get all 3 of those to you if you don't already have them and you don't already have a demonstrator. So let me know. And that would be awesome to get them out to you. Now, I also have coming up with the new mini catalog, this one here. I will be able to show you the inside from next Tuesday, which is the 4th. Is that right? Looking at my calendar, yes, the 4th. When this goes live, I'll actually be able to show you the inside. But at the moment, till it goes live, I can only show you the front cover. However, let me tell you, we have some beautiful designer series papers in there, which is our beautiful pattern papers. Now, some of them you would have already seen when I did my live unboxing. I received some more at the end of last week, but I'm going to be showing them next Monday because I'm going to be making a project with those next Monday with you, and that will be using some of our autumn themed products. So that's going to be really beautiful. Now, I have a paper share that's going to be running. I haven't advertised it yet, but I already have my typed document and my registration form. I just need to get it up on my business page, which it'll be up there in the next couple of days. So look out for that. With a paper share, what it is, it's basically a quarter pack of every one of the papers that I've included in that share. Now, in the paper share, I've included all of the Christmas designed papers. So I haven't included the Halloween papers and I haven't included the autumn themed papers, just the Christmas papers, because this is a Christmas paper share. So if you would like more information about that, or you would like information sheet and registration form, let me know and I can email one of those to you. There will be more information up on my business page in the next couple of days, as I said, so look out for that one. It's a great way of getting a collection of papers at a quarter of the price, basically, because you'll get a quarter pack of each of those Christmas themed designer series paper for a quarter of the price that you would pay if you're buying the full packs of each one of those. So it's a great way to get a sampling of all of those papers. And then you can choose which ones you like best. And then if you use up the ones that you get in the paper share, then you know which ones you love and you can order some more. Okay, now let me see, what else did I have to tell you? Oh yes, so as I touched on just at the beginning, I am currently designing for my next class, and that will be going up very soon, so look out for that. That'll be a product-based class, and remember, every month that I do run my technique club as well, and anyone can participate in that. Even though it's a club, it is open to other people to participate as well. I'll be advertising both of those on my business page, so look out for those coming up very soon. Okay, the other thing I didn't mention yet was about joining Stampin' Up. That's the last thing on my list. Luckily, I wrote that down or I would have forgotten. So I have a team of beautiful, beautiful papercraft gems. My team is the papercraft gems, and all of those gems are so precious to me, and they're beautiful ladies, and we would love to have you join our team. We have a lot of fun together. We interact a lot with each other. We have a Facebook group where we share our projects and different tips and things like that with each other, which is awesome. I run challenges every month for those that would like to participate, and then I have a drawing. So I draw a winner each month of the people that have participated, and so that's always, and the prizes are always different. Sometimes it'll be a stamp set, or it might be an embellishment, it might be some paper. It's always a little bit different, so it's a lot of fun. As a Stampin' Up demonstrator, you have access to the demonstrator website, to other demonstrator only Facebook groups as well, where you get lots and lots of inspiration. The best part is you get a 20% discount on all of your purchases, which is awesome. Who doesn't love getting a discount? Now, to join my team, it's $169. Now, for that $169, you can actually choose $235 worth of product. So you're getting that additional $66 worth of product for free, and you can choose whatever you want into your starter kit. You just choose your items. So if you've got a long wish list, I encourage you to look at that option because you'll save yourself a lot of money. And on that starter kit as well, you do get free shipping. So that is awesome. Now, as a demonstrator, we do get all of the benefits of customers as well. So any customer promotion, we still get that benefit as well, such as the bonus days, which I mentioned before. We still get those bonus days vouchers even as a demonstrator. But on top of that, we also get our 20% discounts and all of the other benefits that go along with being a demonstrator. So there is no pressure to sell either. Some people worry about joining, that they think they're going to be locked in, they're going to have to sell, they're going to be pressured. You're certainly not. Some of my ladies just purchase the products for themselves, and I'm really happy that they're able to do that and get that discount, and that is totally up to them, and I respect that. So there's certainly no pressure from me or from Stampin' Up to sell. Okay, so if you don't want to do that and you just want to join to purchase the products for yourself, that is perfectly fine. If you do want to join as a business venture, then that is awesome too, and I'm certainly happy to support you in that. So let me know if you have any further questions about any of that. Oh, there's no lock-in contract either, by the way. So if after trying it for a couple of months you decide that no, it's not really for you, it wasn't what you're expecting, no problem. If you want to just go back to being a customer, that all you do is you stop ordering as a demonstrator and you go back to being my customer. It's that easy. So let me know if you would like any more information about that, and I can certainly have a chat with you about that and give you an information pack as well. Okay, now let me see if I have missed any comments here. No, all good. All right, so I have a really pretty project for you today. So how about we get on to making that? Let me just move all of these aside. Actually, I'll leave my catalogue out because I'm going to show you what we're using today. We're actually using, we're going to be focusing on a bundle, and it's a bundle that I've shown you before, but as well as that, I've also got some other products that I'm including in there as well. So let me just, I'll just move that over and pop all of that under there. Alrighty, so what I'll do, oh, where's my little, there it is, my little camera cover, which is my little washi tape. My washi tape's actually starting to lose its stick. In fact, I think I might need, hang on a minute, let me grab some more. I might need to make a new little cover because I don't know that that one's going to stick anymore. Oh, I've got a sticky note, that will work better. Let me use a sticky note today. That'll be a lot quicker than making another little washi tape tab, because I need several layers of washi tape because it's sort of opaque. So all right, so let me cover up the camera, and I'll tip the camera down onto the desktop, and I'll show you what we're going to be playing with today. All right, so just give me a moment while I get this all ready for you. Ooh, up a little bit, otherwise I can't flick my camera around. And if I don't flick my camera around, then we'll be upside down and back to front. Okay. There we go. Now, are we around the right way and up the right way? That was a very bright pink screen just then, wasn't it? My pink sticky note. Oh, good. We're all up the right way. Fantastic. Okay. Let me just move this over a little bit so that you can see all of the work surface there. Okay, we are a little bit wonky, aren't we? Let's just see how that, I think it might be my mat that's wonky. There we go, because the camera looks pretty straight. Oh, that's a bit better. Okay, so any of you that are interested in these products, if you love these products, write down the name of them as we go along. And then if you wanted to jump into my online store, which is Mandy's papercraftcreations.blogspot.com, then you'll be able to find those products there in my online store. And if you are shopping with me in my online store, remember to use the host code. Oh, you know what? I haven't even stuck that straight. No wonder it looks crooked on the camera, because I haven't actually stuck it straight. I haven't stuck either of them straight. That's not helping, is it? There we go. Yes, so be sure to put in my host code. If your order is over $50, when you use the host code, I'll be able to send you a lovely thank you gift. And my thank you gifts always go out at the beginning of, usually in the first week of the following month. Sometimes the second week if I'm really flat chat, but usually the first week of the following month, I'll send out all of those thank you gifts for the previous month. All right. Now, oh, just to let you know too, where you enter the host code is where, if you click on your shopping basket, at the bottom of the list of all your products, you'll see host code. That's where you put it in. So it's before you actually go right through to the register. Okay, so if you get as far as the register, you can back to go back and put that host code in. Okay, all right, so let me show you what we're going to be playing with today. We are, and this is one that I've shown you before, but I'm doing something a little bit different today and incorporating a few other products as well. So we are going to be using the Lovely You bundle. So the Lovely You bundle comprises of the Lovely You stamp set, which is fantastic, and I just love the font in this stamp set. In the sentiments, they're really beautiful, and then you've got all these little floral accents here as well, floral and leaves. And then as well you get the punch with the bundle. Now if you would like to purchase the bundle, so that's the stamp set and the punch together, you just put in one code, and that code can be found here on page 22 of your annual catalogue. And to purchase them together as a bundle, you'll actually save yourself 10%. So that's a great way to go when you're looking at purchasing products, is look at the bundled products, because you will save yourself some money that way. So I've got my punch here. I'm going to show you how we're going to use that in our project today, and I've got my stamp set here as well. So there we go. Now the images on the front of the stamp set are just shown at 95%, just so that they could fit all of them on the cover. So the images, the actual images on the stamps are a little bit bigger than what you see on the front here. Okay, so we are going to be playing with that. And there's some great samples here in the catalogue too, using this bundle. And is there some over the other side as well? There's another one over here as well, using the that suite there as well, and using the strips of cardstock, just color on color, or you actually use Versamark on color as well and get a similar effect if you don't have all of those colors. And these are all the in colors here. It's showing you the color palette there, and I love that Stampin' Up is doing that in this catalog. They're showing us different color palettes of colors that combine well together, which is fantastic. So yeah, so there's another little sample there, and just using little narrow strips, which are the 1/2-inch strips, and punching the ends of those to give that lovely card. All right, so we're not making any of the projects actually out of this catalog today. We're doing another one, but we are using those products. So we've got our punch and our stamp set, so that's the bundle. Then we're also going to be using our Dainty Diamonds 3D embossing folder. So this is a new one. It's really, really beautiful, and you'll be able to purchase that one in the, I'm pretty sure that one's in the, I'm just trying to think now, I'm pretty sure that one's in the mini catalogue. Let me just double check that. I have to find it now in my catalogue. I'm just having a look in my annual catalogue, because I'm thinking this one's a new one. I can't remember now because it's been on my desk for a while. Oh no, it is actually in the annual catalogue. It's a new one this year in the annual catalogue. I knew it was new, I just couldn't remember which catalogue it was. We're also going to be using the taste, oh no, not that one. We're going to be using, I was thinking about using the subtles. I haven't fully decided yet about using the subtles. I may use the subtles 3D embossing folder, but I'm going to decide about that. And we're going to be using definitely the Stitched So Sweetly dies. So just take the packet out of there, because I've got some, what I do is if I'm die cutting some additional labels and they're left over at the end, I pop them in the packet so that I've got them there for another project. But these are the dies, and I'll just show you. I keep mine on magnetic sheets, but they don't actually come on magnetic sheets. I just buy them from eBay, and then I cut them down to fit my dies into the packet, and it's just an easier way for me to be able to get them on and off. So we're using those, and we're going to be using some Fluid 100 watercolor paper today. So I haven't used any of this on a live for a little while, so I thought it would be great to use that today too. We're going to be doing a bit of embossing. We're going to be using some linen trim. So this is my old linen trim. This is how it used to come, and now it comes in a packet like this. It comes with one spool. I've put an additional one in there that I had still left over just to keep it all together, because mine was unraveling a little bit. So the color of it is a little bit different now, a tad different, and it's a little bit thicker than what the old one was, but I like to use up my old products first. And we're also going to be using the In Good Taste elements. Now I've opened my packet because I have been using these in some classes recently, and we're going to be using some of these. So I'll just show you. You get several sheets of these, and there's different ones in the packet. Actually, I don't have the other one. Where's the other one? The other sheet. Oh yeah. So you can see I've used some already, but this is one of the sheets, and this is the other one, and you get multiples of those in each packet. In fact, the total number of elements you get in there is 91 elements, and they're wood elements, which you may have seen me use before, and I've been using them recently in some classes, so we're using some of those today. So they're all the products that we're going to be using, as well as our cardstock, of course, and we're using some vellum today. So let's get started. Okay, I'll pop that up there. All right, so I'm just starting with a Whisper White card base. So this is just regular Whisper White. It's just cut at 14.85 centimeters. So it's just half of an A4 sheet, and then I've scored and folded that at 10.5. So that gives us our card front of 14.85 by 10.5. Oh, thank you, Amber. Yes, the Dainty Diamonds, I didn't mention that. The Dainty Diamonds embossing folder is part of the Peony Garden Suite, which is in our annual catalogue. But yes, I actually haven't used this one yet. Amber's used it a few times, but I haven't used it until today. So that's exciting. The thickness of my magnetic sheets, Tracy, I'm not actually sure what the thickness is. They're not very thick, and they're not the ones that have the sticky adhesive on the back. I'm not sure what the thickness of them is, Tracy. I'll have to, what are they? They're only about 1 millimeter thick. They're not very thick, but they're nice and they're sturdy enough to hold because as you see, if I hold it like that, it's not really bending, it's holding them on nice and tight. So, okay, so we're starting with our Whisper White card base. Right, so we've got that ready. We are going to need a piece of vellum cardstock. Now, the vellum cardstock is cut at 13.65 centimeters by 9.3 centimeters. So I'll say that again, that's 13.65 by 9.3. So what that's in effect going to do is it's going to give us a 0.6 centimeter border all the way around. Now we're going to do some embossing on this. I'm also going to be using some Flirty Flamingo cardstock. So Flirty Flamingo is a beautiful bright color, and I don't use it that often, but I should use it more often because it's really, really pretty. And we're also going to be using our Flirty Flamingo and our Daffodil Delight Stampin' Up markers. We're going to be using Coastal Cabana, Granny Apple Green, and this one is Petal Pink, but the label on mine has faded. even this one has faded a little bit, so it's not really true to color, but they're the 3 colors that we're going to be using. And then you'll also need some Versamark and white embossing powder for the embossing. And then I'm going to also use just some Stays On Black for the sentiment. And then I've just got one of my aqua painters here as well. So the aqua painters come in a set of 3 with 3 different size brush tips, and this one's actually a big flat one. Mine's separated a little bit because of the way I had it stored, but this one's a nice big wide flat tip brush, and then you've got a medium tip and a fine tip. So it's really handy to have the 3 different tips, and depending on what you're doing, I'm actually going to be using the medium tip one today. And they come in a set of 3, and you just fill the barrel up to the line there with water. And then you can squeeze them, and it's just like using a paintbrush in water, only you've got a constant stream of water, and they're really quick and easy to clean up, rather than having to dip them in a cup of water and the water gets all mucky. They're really easy. Now with these ones, just to let you know, if you are trying to undo them to fill the chamber up with water, these actually unscrew in the opposite direction to our old ones. So they unscrew clockwise, whereas our old ones unscrewed anti-clockwise. So if you're wondering why you can't undo the top, try screwing it in the opposite direction, just so that you can, yep, see, look, I just did it again. So you just unscrew that, you just put ordinary tap water in there, and then screw it back on the opposite direction to what you would normally. Okay, so there's a little tip there for you. Now let me pull back out the one we're using, that one. Alrighty, so we're using quite a few different things today, and I'm going to be using a few different techniques, which is going to be a lot of fun. So let's get started. Alright, so the Flirty Flamingo, I've actually gone ahead and already die cut and embossed that. So what I'll show you what I used. So I went ahead and I've die cut a label. So this label, I'll put my vellum aside there, we're going to use that in a minute. So this label is this one here. Oh, if I can get it off my magnet, there we go. So it's just that one there from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. Bring that in so you can see that. And I've just die cut that one. That has a sweet little stitched border around the edge as well. Then what I did after that is I ran it through the Dainty Diamonds embossing folder. So I die cut first, then I ran it through the embossing folder, and I did that ahead of time just to save a little bit of time. But the detail on this embossing folder is absolutely beautiful. It's very, very delicate and fine details, really, really beautiful. I love that, and hopefully you can see, if I hold that up to the camera, hopefully you can see that beautiful detail there on that embossing folder. Okay. Now, if you wanted to bring up that, like I'm happy with how that looks as it is, but if you wanted to bring up that detail more, you can either run a dauber with some of the same color ink, which will highlight it over that. You can also do the inking technique. Sorry, I realized I just held that out of the camera view. You can also do the inked embossing folder technique where you ink the side of the embossing folder that has the Stampin' Up logo with your ink. You can use the same color ink or a coordinating ink, and then put your cardstock in there and then run it through the embossing folder. And then to clean these up, all you do is you run some water over them. Now I would suggest, if you're going to do that, that you only use the classic Stampin' pads, not Stays On, because if you use Stays On, it's going to stay on. You won't be able to wash that off, but it works really well with the classic Stampin' pads. And then these just rinse clean under running water. So it's very easy to do. All right, so I've already got that done. I also have 2 strips here of cardstock. One is plain Whisper White, and this one is 1 inch by 9 centimeters. We're going to punch that with our punch. of course. And the other one is using that Fluid 100 watercolor paper, because we're going to do a little bit of watercoloring on here for a background, and that's 3/4 of an inch wide by 8 centimeters long. Okay, all right, so let's go on first and stamp our vellum. So what we're going to do, oops, I'll move that one out of the light so it's not glaring. So the vellum is a little bit hard to see here on the white grid paper, but hopefully you'll be able to see it well enough. And I'm going to use the word smile from the Lovely You stamp set, and I'm going to stamp and emboss that in white just on the as a background on the vellum. So we're going to use our Versamark ink, and I've got my embossing powder here ready, my white embossing powder here ready. I'm not going to open that till we're ready to go with that, because I've had an accident with that just recently. All right, so we are just going to stamp the word smile randomly over the cardstock, and I'll try and get it as straight as I can using that grid paper. Now I know that for you on camera it's probably difficult to see this. In fact, you probably can't see it very well at all, but just know that I have got the word smile stamped. In fact, I'm going to stamp some off the edges as well, there and there, just for a bit of added interest. And I might do one here and up here. And then if you just move your vellum in the light, you'll be able to see where you've actually stamped that Versamark ink. Okay, so that looks great. So while that ink is still wet, now the Versamark is quite a sticky ink, so it stays wet for quite a bit of time. However, you don't want to leave it sitting forever. You want to get the embossing powder on there as soon as possible. So we're just going to sprinkle, so this is the white Stampin' Emboss powder, and you just want to sprinkle that over all of that vellum to cover all of those sentiments that you've stamped in the Versamark there, all of those stamped images, sorry. Alrighty, and then we'll just tip that off very gently. Now with the vellum, it can tend to pick up oils from your hands, with any cardstock too, but particularly with the vellum, and it's a little bit more staticky than normal cardstock. So have a look and see if you've got any additional granules there hanging about that shouldn't be there, and just use a little fine tip paintbrush just to, and you might need to just get it in the light like that. I'm just moving it around in the light, and just gently brush those additional little granules off that shouldn't be there. Doesn't matter as much with the vellum, you notice it more on the cardstock, but not so much with the vellum. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Yep, I'm happy with that. All right, so let me just put that down over here, and I will put this embossing powder back into the container before I end up with it everywhere. I filmed a class recently, and during the course of the class, I spilt the whole container of embossing powder all over my desk, all over my grid paper, all over everything. And so I kept on filming, but I had to do a very quick cleanup. So, but you know, sometimes you just got to keep going. Alrighty, so I'm going to grab my tweezers out this time, because I'm going to be embossing the majority of that vellum. If I can find them, there they are, hiding in the middle. And I'm going to hold my my vellum with those tweezers so that I don't burn my fingers. I'm just going to put it gently in the corner there. Okay, so when you're using your heat tool to emboss, on your Stampin' Up heat tool, it has 2 heat settings. One is for drying, so if you're dry, which we're going to be doing a bit later because we're doing watercoloring, so you use heat setting 1 for drying, but when you're heat embossing, you use setting 2. You can use the embossing buddy if you have it, Rose. Yes. Unfortunately, Stampin' Up don't carry the embossing buddy anymore. But if you have one of the old ones, then by all means feel free to use the embossing buddy first on your vellum. I'm actually going to need to move this up a little bit because I just realized it's going to sag. There we go. All right, so just heat that heat tool up just for a couple of seconds to get that heat coming through. And then we'll come in and heat. And I love that the Stampin' Up embossing tool is so quiet compared to my old one, which was so super loud. Now you'll notice with the vellum that it does emboss very quickly. So you want to keep moving your heat tool. Don't keep it in the one spot for too long because you don't want to scorch your vellum. So as soon as you see that embossing powder start to melt, then move your embossing tool to the next section. Okay, if you hold it on that where it's melted, if you hold it on there, it's either one, going to burn your cardstock, or two, it will actually make the embossed image go flat, so then you lose that beautiful shiny sheen on your embossed image. Yep, so that's done. So that's as quick as that is. I did get a little bit of additional embossing powder just there. Actually, I might be able to still brush that off. Where's my... Just noticed I got a little bit of additional embossing powder there, but it's not too noticeable. I'm not really worried, and that might be covered up by the label anyway. Okay, so there you can see that one. Oh, I can see in the camera I've got some in the middle too. I couldn't see that here, but I just saw in the camera. That bit's probably going to be covered anyway, so that's okay. All right, so we've got that bit done. So we'll set that aside for a minute. Now we might go on with our... So we've got those two pieces done. We'll go on with our labels here. So with this one, we're going to be using a little bit of... Oh, hi Sharon, how are you? I'm good, thank you. We're going to be using a little bit of Coastal Cabana ink, and we're going to be using our water painter to make a watercolor background on our label here. But what we're going to do first is we will banner the edges of, or the ends I should say, of that first. So we'll bring in our banner punch. Now with our banner punch, let me just with our lovely labels pick a punch, we have basically, you've got 6 different labels that you can make with this. So you'll notice here I've written 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1/2 an inch, and that's what these little grooves are. They're the measurements of those little grooves, which means if you cut your cardstock to the size of one of those grooves, you know that it's going to feed in beautifully straight, and it'll line up beautifully for you to be able to banner those ends. Now you've got 2 different shapes here. You've got a sort of more rounded shape here on this side, and this one has more of a blunt straight end to it, and you basically have got 6 different punches there in one, which is awesome. Now each of our punches come with a locking button on the back there, and that is so that they can store nice and flat, and you can stack them sideways or stack them on top of each other or whatever. So to use them, you just hold your punch like that and just slide the button down and then release, and it opens up. I like to, I'm going to be using the rounded end, and I like to turn my punch over so that I can see that I'm lining that up straight, as you can see where the cardstock is there. And I like to line it up against that straight edge there at the end. Okay, and then we'll just give a punch, and then we turn it around and do the same thing. So if you're feeding it in through the groove, feed it in like that. Turn it over, check that you've got it lined up straight, because sometimes it'll go a little bit crooked as you feed it in, and then punch, and that one is done. All right, and now we'll go ahead and do our large one as well. Now this one is 1 inch, and we're using the same one there, so we'll just feed that in under there. Oh, it's getting caught. What's happening? Oh, there we go. Got a little bit stuck there. All right, so we feed it in. Make sure that that edge of your cardstock is straight against the edge there of the punch. And just punch. And then we'll do the same with the other end. Turn it around. Feed it in underneath that punch. Turn it over, line it up. Yep, I fed it in a little bit crooked, so we'll just line that up against the end and punch. And there we have our two labels. And you'll notice that as it punches, just get rid of those scraps. You'll notice that as it punches, the end is slightly different to the next size up. So this one will now layer beautifully and line up beautifully inside the larger one. Okay, so we are going to create a watercolor background on this one. Sorry, I went blank. I tend to do that because my brain goes 100 miles an hour quicker than my mouth sometimes, which is hard to do because my mouth goes pretty quick too. All right, so we're going to be using some Coastal Cabana ink. I've just brought in, yes, definitely Sharon, have to use it more. It's a great punch. I've just got a spare block here and I'm going to show you how I'm going to use my Coastal Cabana ink. Now, if you have the re-inker for this, you can use the re-inker and you can drop a little bit of re-inker into the lid here and then water that down. But I'll show you another way if you don't have that re-inker. Basically what you do is you just take a clean block and you just dab it onto your ink pad and now you've got a paint palette there. See how that ink is on that block now? You've got a little paint palette there now. And I'm just going to use my water painter. I'm going to squeeze the barrel of my water painter to get the water flowing through to the tip. And I like to always just test it on the back of my hand so that I know I've got that water flowing beautifully through there. So I want a fair bit of water because I'm going to water this ink down. I'm going to dilute it. And then you just mix that ink there with the water. And see, now you've got your little watercolor paint palette. So I'm just going to test this on some scrap first to see, yep, that's great. All right, and then basically all I'm going to do is I am just going to do a watercolor wash on this watercolor paper. Now, if you wanted to, you could add extra water to this cardstock first because it's watercolor paper, you can do that. You can add more water to it afterwards. You can spritz it. You can add more water with your brush, whichever way you'd like to do it. As you can see, I've just put some down, but I'm adding more water so that I can dilute that down a little bit more. And I'm not going to take it all the way to the ends. I will just blend the ends down a little bit, but I'm not going to take it quite all the way to the end. I'm just going to leave it like that, so that it looks like it has a bit of a watercolor effect. Now, to clean off your blocks, it's really easy. You can either use a tissue and your Stampin' Chamois, or you can just use a baby wipe and just give it a clean. Just make sure that it's really clean before you go to use it again with another color, because you don't want to transfer your colors between ink pads. And then with your brush, just set that aside for a moment. With your brush, just get a scrap piece of paper and you're just basically doing a crisscross like that to clean your brush off. There, that's clean. And then when you're storing it, make sure that you bring the tip of your brush up to a nice point like that, so that it doesn't fray out and go into a funny sort of shape before you put your lid on, just to keep it nice. There we go. All right, so let's bring in our heat tool again, and I'm just going to put that on. I'll use my tweezers again, so I hold it up off the surface. If I hold it down here and heat it, then my background paper, my grid paper will buckle. So I'm just going to use heat setting 1 this time, just to dry this off. We want this really dry because we're going to stamp onto it. And when we're drying anything that we've watercolored, if you're using the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, or you might be using the shimmery white paper, it also watercolors really well. Then be sure to also dry it on the back as well. And if you find it's curling one way, flip it over and heat it on the other side, and that'll help to flatten it out. And just make sure that you've got that nice. And yes, this is watercolor paper, Jenny, that we're using. This is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper that Stampin' Up carry. I use it for different types of projects. It depends on what I'm doing. Okay, so let that cool down for a bit. That should be dry. If you're concerned about it curling like that, just pop a block on it while it's cooling down to flatten it out a little bit. It won't matter too much because we're going to be adhering it anyway. Oh, look at that. I left my wet wipe on my grid paper, and now my grid paper's all soggy and buckling. Okay, so while that is cooling down, let me move that over to the side. We are going to do some other stamping, and today I'm going to be using my Stamparatus. I don't use my Stamparatus enough. I really need to use it more than what I do. So I've already put my stamps on there, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm using cling stamps. So they're the red rubber cling stamps that already have the foam built into them. Now I've already lined that one up on my plate. When you purchase the Stamparatus, you do get 2 plates with it, and each plate has 2 stamping sides. So in effect you have 4 stamping surfaces, or 4 plates. Now these can replace your blocks as well. So instead of using your blocks and having different size blocks, you can just have one Stamparatus and do all of your stamping with one Stamparatus rather than different blocks. So it's up to you which way you like to use it, or which you prefer, which stamping method you prefer. Now, as well as that, you'll notice that these, I haven't shown this for a while actually, which is why I'm going through, because some people may not have seen it. With the Stamparatus, they have 2 hinges. So there's a top hinge, a side hinge there, and there's a top hinge there. So you can choose whichever way you prefer to do it, or you might like to have one plate here on the top ready to go, and then you might have one plate here at the side. So you can basically then go boom, boom, and do quick stamping. Now it's great too if you're doing multiples of one project. You can have your stamps already lined up, and you know you can just put your cardstock in, go stamp, 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 put your next piece of cardstock in, stamp, 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 and you've already got all your stamps all lined up. It's a really great stamp positioning tool. Not only that, but with the hinges here, you can do hinge step stamping, what we call hinge step stamping, which means that you can lift the plate out, move it down, and then stamp again in another position. And with some of our stamps, they're actually created for the hinge step stamping so that you get a repetitive pattern down your cardstock, which is fantastic. I'm going to be using the hinges today, but not actually for proper hinge step stamping, just so that I can stamp the image a few times on the cardstock. So it also comes with, it comes with a foam mat like this, which is for if you're using our clear photopolymer stamps. So with the clear photopolymer stamps, they stamp best if they've got a bit of sponge underneath them, a bit of foam underneath them. So you can either, if you're using a block, you can use a Stampin' Pierce mat, or you can use a Stamparatus pad. Now this one that I have here is actually an additional item that you can purchase. So it comes with one that's just the foam, but this one is a separate one. It's a new product that actually has the grid marks already lined on it for you. In addition to that, so this one's a separate one. In addition to that, Stampin' Up also sells the grid paper. So these are the small grid paper that fit in the Stamparatus. So it's great to have a piece of grid paper down to protect your surface of your Stamparatus, because you don't want that getting all inky and ugly. And these have got centimeters on one side, and they've got the inches on the other side. Okay, so you can purchase those as well. They're great too, just to have, as you saw, I had one off to the side there. They're great just to have there as your scrap paper as well, if you're not using the big sheets of grid paper. All right, it comes with 2 magnets. Now I have got my magnet wrapped in washi tape because Comes with 2, and they have a storage unit under the bottom here. So there's one there and one there. These magnets have to be kept apart because if these magnets come together, they snap together very strongly, and you do not want to have your fingers in the way when they do that. But if they do snap together very strongly, they are likely going to shatter and break. So I have mine wrapped in washi tape to protect them and protect my fingers if ever they do happen to get too close, if they shatter. So I like to keep them in washi tape, and I've got an additional little tab here on my washi tape which helps me to lift the magnets up because they hold down so tightly. You listen to this. Hear that? They really, really hold down very tightly. So this is a fantastic tool, this Stamparatus tool, and you can find that in the tools section of the annual catalogue if you're looking for that. Yes, you need to use your little grid paper more, Sharon. It's fantastic. Yes, definitely. It'll be great for you to use it more often, Robin. It's a great, great tool. All right, so we are going to be stamping, I've just realized I have moved my cardstock. So I'm butting my piece of cardstock up into the corner there so that I know that's going to be nice and squared off in exactly the right spot where I want it. I'll pop my magnet on there to hold that in place. Now, usually I only use 1 magnet. If you want to use 2 magnets, you can, but just make sure you've got them well away from each other. I don't always stamp right in the corner. Sometimes I will actually move my cardstock over, and then I'll usually I'll put a little pencil mark where I'm lining it up so that I can make sure I always line it back up in exactly the right spot. The thing you just need to remember if you are stamping with your cardstock right up against the edges is where that is near the hinges. There's no flexibility in the plate there, which means it's very hard to get a nice crisp stamped image right near the edges of those hinges. So make sure you've got your stamp out a little bit from the edge. As you can see, I've put mine over to the edge because I'm lining up my stamped images down the side of the cardstock to utilize my cardstock. But yeah, just bear that in mind that if you are doing that, it's probably a good idea just to have your cardstock out from the edge a little bit. If you've got your grid paper there, you can line it up with your grid paper. The base does have a grid on it anyway, but as I said, you don't want to get ink on there. So grab some grid paper, line it up with one of those grid lines. And so long as your grid paper is lined up in the corner, then you'll know that that's going to be always in the same spot. And then you can put a little pencil mark here on the corners so that you know which grid line you've used to line it up. But for today, I'm just going to have it there in the corner. Alrighty, now I have got a few things to stamp. I've got the leaves here to stamp. I've also got the flower. I'm going to show you a different technique with the flower, but the leaf here I'm just going to stamp ordinarily. So we'll start with that one first. I'm using Granny Apple Green. Our little ink spots as well. If you've seen our ink spots in our catalogue, we have a set of ink spots which you can find in the colouring tools in the annual catalogue, and you'll also find some ink spots in the beginner brochure. They are great for using with your Stamparatus as well because they're much smaller and they're fantastic to use with the Stamparatus, but you can use the big pads too. You just might get a bit of excess ink on the plate, but that's okay. Just make sure you clean that off before you stamp your image. So I'm just using the Granny Apple Green and I'm just inking up those leaves. Now the great thing with the Stamparatus too is that if the first time you don't get a good stamped image, which I did that time, so that's okay, but if that didn't stamp out so well, because I know that that is lined up perfectly and that cardstock is in exactly the same spot, I could re-ink that stamp and stamp it again, and then you'll get more ink in exactly the same spot. So I'm going to move this down now so that I can stamp another set of leaves. I'm going to need to move it down. That's it. I'll just move it down two spots, and this time I noticed I've got a little bit of ink on my plate, a little bit of excess ink on my plate, so I'm just going to, let me move this over a little bit so you can see, I'm just going to wipe that off with my chamois, so that I don't get that onto my cardstock. And then we'll just stamp that second set of leaves there. Beautiful. All right, now all I need to do is bring in my chamois, clean my stamp, and I'm ready to go. Alrighty, now I'm going to turn this plate over now, and I've already got my flower lined up. Now with my flower, I'm not going to just do straight stamping. This time I'm going to use my Stampin' Write markers. Actually, I'll just get this other one out ready to use in a moment. So I am going to show you how to do that. So let me move this over. That little piece is dry now, so I'll move that off to the side. Okay, so hopefully you can see all of that. I'm just having a look to see how much of this you can see. All right, good. Okay, so this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Stampin' Write markers. Now, I'm not too worried about the stem and the leaves on this one because you're not going to see them because I'm going to be tucking that away. But I could, I'll get my Granny Apple Green out anyway. Just, where is it? Let's see. What colour is that one? That's Pear Pizzazz. That's not the one I want. Granny Apple Green. Okay, so I'll get that one out as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour this image this time with my markers. So I'm going to start with my stem first, and I'm using the brush tip of my Stampin' Write marker, and I'm simply just colouring the stamp, the rubber stamp there. Okay. And then I'm going to colour the brush tip. This bottom part here of the flower, I'm just going to colour that part. You might be wondering why I'm doing this, and it's because I want to have this, I'll just move that down a bit so you can see that a bit better. I want to have this flower coloured in different colours. Now you can do this with your ordinary blocks as well. You can use this technique too. But the thing is with the Stamparatus, if I don't get it dark enough the first time, I know that I can go back in again and do the same thing and stamp it again over the top. Whereas when you've done it with a block, you don't have that luxury. You basically get one go at it, and then if it doesn't turn out so well, then you have to start again. So I will show you what I mean. Now, because we are colouring that onto the rubber, it does tend to dry out. Now, this is water-based ink in the Stampin' Write markers, so it does tend to dry out. So what you need to do just to moisten it is just huff with your breath onto your stamp. Okay, so you just huff, and then that re-moistens it and you're ready to stamp. And there you have your coloured flower. Okay, so there's my head in the camera just there. All right, so that turned out beautifully, exactly how I wanted it. Now let's do another one. We'll move it down. I think we'll probably need to move it down 2. Yep, we'll move it down 2 hinges. So I've just moved it down 2 hinges, and we'll do the same again. So we'll start with our stem. Our stem is probably going to be hidden anyway, but just in case it pokes out a little bit, let's just be sure. And it doesn't take much time anyway, just to add that extra little step in. Colour the bottom part of our flower there in yellow. Our petals, whoa, I nearly petaled in pink. I don't want to, in green. We want Flirty Flamingo is the one that we're using on the petals. So I've got Flirty Flamingo, Daffodil Delight, and Granny Apple Green. So just colouring that flower there. There we go. And then huff. Excuse, I'm going to get my head in there. Excuse my head for a moment. Oh, actually, before I huff, I just saw that I missed a little bit of that petal. Didn't colour that very well, did I? Let's do that again. I missed a couple of little spots there. I think I had the light in the wrong angle. There we go. Okay, and then huff. and then stamp. Done. Beautiful. Exactly how I wanted it. Alrighty. So that is another little tip for you using the Stamparatus and your Stampin' Write markers. And again, as I said, you can do it on your block, and this one came out beautifully. I only had to do it once, but if it hadn't have come out well the first time, I could have just recolored that stamp again and stamped it straight over the top. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my next plate because I have another stamp. Where did I put my other plate? Oh, there it is. I have another stamp to stamp now, and you know what? I was going to have this on a separate piece of cardstock, but I think to utilize my cardstock here, I can fit this in right there. So what I'm doing is I'm laying down the stamp first. Let me move this other plate out of the way. Lay down my stamp first where I want to have it with the sticky side up. So your sticker side is facing up. And then we take the plate to the stamp and pick the stamp up. Now I know it's exactly in the spot that I want it. So I'm using Petal Pink this time. Bit of something there on my stamp, a little bit of fluff. All right, so I'm using Petal Pink and I'm going to need 2 of these. So that is number 1. Beautiful. And now let's step that down again. We might just need to move the magnet this time. So let's just move the magnet over here. And we'll move down 2 steps. Yep, there we go. That'll be beautiful. We'll re-ink that again. And stamp again. Gorgeous. There we go. So there's all our stamped images that we need. Now let me just give this a little clean. Oh, my chamois drying out a little bit. Actually, I need to put some more water on that. There we go. Okay. Now we've stamped all of our images so that they are ready to go. When you lift up your plates, I'll just give you that tip actually. When you want to remove your plates, you have to make sure that you lift it up at a complete 45-degree angle before you lift it out. Otherwise you could snap the hinges. Okay, so it needs to be at completely 45-degree angle. And when you're storing these plates, you can store one on the hinge, but the other plate won't fit on the hinge as well because you can only fold down one plate at a time. So you actually need to store them, that second plate you need to just store separately. Okay, so there's a few little tips using the Stamparatus. Okay, now we are going to do a little bit of fussy cutting. So let me bring, oh, I better put my ink away. And actually, while we're doing stamping, we'll just leave that aside for the moment. Let's stamp our sentiment on here. So this has dried now. This is the one we did the watercoloring on. It's dried, and I'm going to use some Stays On ink to stamp my sentiment today. If that's completely dry, you can use your Memento ink, but I'm actually going to use Stays On today, and I'm using the sentiment that says "You're my person." So I think that's an awesome sentiment. So I'm just going to test that first. Yep, beautiful. And I'm just stamping this right in the middle. Hopefully I get it in the middle. Hopefully I get it straight. Beautiful. There we go. And I love that the this is a really fine sentiment, like really fine font, and it stamps beautifully with the Stays On ink. So there we go. So that piece is ready to go now. All right, I'll set that one aside. I'll give that a little clean in a bit. Alrighty, we're going to do a little bit of fussy cutting here. So, oops, there we go. I was planning to do some of these ahead of time, but I ran out of time, so I didn't get to do them ahead of time. So I'm just going to cut them down a little bit. All right, so when you're fussy cutting, I'm just probably going to do quite a rough job on this one because I'm conscious of the time. So just leave a nice little white border around the edge of your stamped image. And just be sure to turn the cardstock rather than turning your scissors, and that will make it much easier for you to get a nice finish with your fussy cut image. In fact, this one's actually not too bad to fussy cut. It's not that fiddly. I will cut out these leaves, even though we're probably not going to see them. I'll cut them out just in case. There we go. So that's one. Whoops. Just trim that end off there. All right, so that's one flower. So that was pretty quick. That wasn't too bad. Yeah. I'm not understanding your comment, Jenny. You said, yuck, I thought they looked nice on the card, lol. I'm not quite sure what you mean. The flowers, do you mean? You like them or you don't like them? I'm not quite sure by your comment. Could be a typo there. That happens, doesn't it, with when we're typing in a hurry. I'm forever making typos and having to go back and correct myself. So there we go, just keep jiggling that around, moving that cardstock, keeping your scissors. The only thing I'm doing with the scissors is basically opening and closing the blades, and you get better control that way. If you turn the cardstock, you've got better control over where you're actually cutting. Oh, save doing the fussy cutting. Oh, yes. You don't like doing fussy cutting, do you, Jenny? Oh, I'm going to get you doing fussy cutting at some stage, Jenny, I think. It's not so bad. This one's not so bad to fussy cut, Jenny. This one's actually quite easy to fussy cut. It's not too bad at all. And I haven't even got my glasses on, which I just realized because now my eyes are starting to get blurry. I better put them on, hey, or I'm straining my eyes. Oh, you like the Stamparatus Rose? Awesome. That's great. It is a fantastic tool. I just need to get mine out more often and use it. I used to use it quite a bit. I don't know why I don't anymore. It's not that I don't ever, I just don't use it as frequently as what I used to. So I'm just cutting these little bits out around. Jenny, maybe you're using the wrong sort of scissors for cutting. Maybe you need a little pair of paper snips for fussy cutting. Maybe you'd find it easier then. These are great for fussy cutting, these little paper snips, because they are, the blades on them are nice and sharp and pointy, but also short. So you can find these in the tools section of your annual catalogue, which is towards the back of the annual catalogue. And they're a great little pair of scissors, especially for fussy cutting, Jenny. I know you don't like fussy cutting, Jenny. One day you'll surprise me and you'll say to me, Mandy, I fussy cut this. It's not so bad. It's quite therapeutic, actually. You know what you could do, Jenny? Next time you go on a camping trip, take a whole heap of stamped images and sit there overlooking the river and just sit there and fussy cut. And you might find it really relaxing, and then you might come back and say to me, hey, I actually like it now. Do you think? Maybe? I used to do that when I used to go and visit my mum. I would take a whole heap of stamped images and I'd sit there and cut them out while she was sleeping, because she used to sleep a lot, especially towards the end when she was so sick. And so I just sit there and just, because I had to be, you know, I wanted to be quiet so I didn't disturb her. And so I just sit there and cut and prepare, you know, my little bits and pieces for my cards. And then when she woke up, then I'd get to making my cards and she'd want to know what I was doing and watch me as I put my little projects together. You don't think so, Jenny? Oh, you never know, Jenny. You might surprise yourself one day. Yeah, these ones don't come with a die because they have the coordinating punch for the label, the picker punch. So these ones don't actually come with a die. There we go. But there are lots of projects that you can do, and in fact you could probably do a take on this project using the stamps but not fussy cutting them, because you don't have to fussy cut. Just because you have a stamp set doesn't mean that you have to fussy cut it. You can still use the stamp set, you know, just by stamping it on the cardstock. It's just that I wanted to fussy cut it for this particular one. So I'm just doing these really quickly and probably a bit rough, but that's okay. I'm just conscious of the time. And this is why I wanted to have them done beforehand, but I didn't get a chance to do them. So been playing with lots of other things this morning and getting some more ideas for different things, which has been great. So yeah, it's been really awesome. But I have to admit, I did have a little bit of a sleep in today because with the dreary weather, and I did go to bed quite late as well. Yes, so I had a little bit of a sleep in this morning, although I got woken up quite early by my daughter bringing our little Molly into us. Oh, our little Molly, she had a seizure on the weekend too. Poor little baby. So we're keeping a really close eye on her at the moment. She had cluster seizures back in January, and we trialed her on medication for a little while, but she didn't go very well on the medication, so we took her back off that on the advice of the vet, and she hasn't had any since. But then she had one on the weekend, and was not as severe as the ones she's had in the past, but it was still a seizure. And we think it's actually related to her back, because her back seems a bit sore again at the moment. She's got issues with her back and her back legs. Yeah, so poor little baby. So we're having to keep a close eye on her. So my daughter brought her into me when she was going to work this morning and woke me up at 5:45 on my day off. Oh my goodness. And yeah, and so, you know, then I took a bit of time to go back to sleep, and then she woke me up to go outside to the toilet. Then I'm like, oh, my alarm wasn't due to go off yet. I wanted to sleep in, but all good. It is what it is. So yeah, but anyway, she's been okay since then. She's been pretty good. Just her back and her back legs are a little bit weak. And her back's a bit tender in one spot, the base of her spine. We noticed when we touch her there, she flinches. So she's not yelping, but she flinches like she's uncomfortable. So we think that the seizure might have been a pain response, which is what we thought the first time too. And so we just need to keep an eye on her, but I'll probably need to. A friend of mine, actually Robin, who's on here, Robin told me about her doggy physiotherapist, so I might be looking them up to go and get her some treatment, because everything settled down last time, so I didn't bother taking her, but I might need to this time if they're still operating at the moment with COVID, so I need to find out about that. And actually they're right beside where there was a reported case, so I might just wait and see how things go, just make sure everything dies down, because they're near a hot spot there. So I'm gonna be a little bit careful where I go at the moment, as I guess everybody is. And I'm avoiding the shops like the plague. I send my husband. Let him put himself in harm's way for me. Take one for the family. No, he's really good. He wears his mask and he takes his sanitizing wipes if they don't have them there. If they've run out at the supermarket, then he uses the wipes that he takes down in his little sandwich bag and wipes everything over before he puts it in the trolley, or wipes the trolley over before he touches it, and then wipes things over. then we disinfect everything when it comes into the house and all those things. So there we go. Okay, fussy cutting done. Sorry, that one was a little bit rough, but that's okay. You probably can't even see that on camera anyway, so all good. Alrighty, I think we are ready to put all of our elements together now. Now, I've punched out a couple of those little wood elements that I spoke about before, and we've got all these little elements here. We've got our cardstock, and we've got our labels, and we need our linen thread. And as I said, this is the old style linen thread, and the new linen thread is on the spool, but I'm just going to unravel some of that. Now, if you do have some linen thread and it's a little bit, oh, thanks, Robin. Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, isn't it, with our little doggies when they get different things happening with them and they can't tell us what's going on. Well, they can in their own way, but not, if only they could use words, hey? Yeah, so if you get a few kinks like this in any of your linen trim, if you just run it through with a bone folder, it actually gets rid of all those kinks. So I'll just run that through. I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to use yet. So there we go. Thankfully, the new linen thread comes on a spool, so you don't kind of get that same problem now, which is a good thing that Stampin' Up did that. Okie dokie. So what we are going to do is, firstly, I think I'm going to layer these up. Now, I'm going to pop this label, this stamped label on our watercolor background up on dimensionals onto our larger label there, which is just in Whisper White. Oh, I didn't get all my adhesives down. Let me get them down off my shelf. Oopsie. Getting them down and dropping them in at the same time. Okay. Oh, not sure which ones we're going to use, so I'll get all of them down, although I am going to use dimensionals on this one, so we'll start with those. Get my little cord up there out of the way again. Alrighty, so I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool just to pick up my dimensionals, and we'll pop them on the back here. I'll probably just use 3, do one either end and one in the middle. Awesome. Remove the backing. So I just do that by using that paper piercing end and just poke that into the back of the dimensional and kind of flick it up a little bit, and that releases the backing paper of those dimensionals. And then just line that up. Just trying to line that up in the middle as best as possible without getting my head too far in camera view. That looks pretty, oh, it's a bit crooked. It's a bit crooked, it's a bit crooked. Hang on. Up you come. Come on, there we go. Lift that up a little bit. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Okay, now with our vellum, because that is opaque and you can see through it, we want to put our adhesive where we know it's going to be covered up. Now I know that my label is going to be going there in the middle of my cardstock. So I'm going to be putting adhesive behind there. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to be using some Stampin' Seal. So turn that over and we'll use some Stampin' Seal across the middle there. Make sure we've got a good amount down. Okay, and then we're going to adhere that. Whoops, not yet, not yet, not yet. Didn't have that quite lined up right yet. So we're going to line that up with our border around the edge. As I said to you before, it's a 0.6 millimeter border, so a bit wider than half a centimeter border. All right, so adhere that down so we know that's nice and adhered. And then that label is going to go over there. Now, I'm just thinking with the linen thread, actually, in fact, I probably should have, yeah, that's okay. Let's see if I can stick it. Can I hide it under here? No, I don't think that's going to work. So what I might do is, yeah, so I'm going to wrap it around this way and tie it on this side so that you've just got a bow at the side here, which wasn't exactly what I was planning to do, but I think I should have had this on another piece. I wonder if I can still lift that up. Oh, maybe. Let's see. I'll just turn this over to my other side. I'll just see if I can lift this up. I think I forgot to put an extra layer down there. And now, because I've put so much adhesive down there, it's going to be difficult to get it up. But hopefully I'll be able to use my little spatula tool to help me to just release that. Thankfully I didn't use the Stampin' Seal Plus, I just used the Stampin' Seal because I can get that back up. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so what I'm going to do, yes, because that, what I was thinking isn't going to work. So I'm going to get another piece of Whisper White cardstock and cut it to exactly the same size as this one. And I've got one right here. So I'm going to cut this one down to 13.65 by 9.3. Okay, so I'll just bring my trimmer in. Oh, I'm running out of room here for all of my things. So much on my desk right now. There we go. Oh. All right, so I'm cutting this down to 13.65. 13.65. All right, by 9.3. 1, 2, 3. And that should be, hopefully, same size as my vellum. Now I won't put it sticky side down just yet. Yes, okay, good. So this will work better. All right, so I brought in this additional piece of Whisper White, which is 13.65 by 9.3, and I'm going to adhere my vellum to that one because I want to wrap my linen thread around that. And just wrapping it around just the vellum on its own, because the vellum is quite flimsy. Yes, thank you, Amber. I could have done that. I could have cut the cardstock in the opposite orientation so that it was like top opening. That would have worked. Ah, a warm hairdryer. On Lily's spine, a massage helped her. Yeah, that's a good idea, using a warm hairdryer for your dog Lily. We have a heat pack, but Molly doesn't like it. We have a special heat pack for her, but she doesn't actually like it. But the massage we do, but the hairdryer is a good idea actually. Yeah, thanks for that. All right, so I'm just adhering that to that Whisper White piece, but I do like Amber's idea as well of making the card open rather than opening this way. If the card opened that way, top to bottom, then you could wrap the twine around and you wouldn't need this extra layer. So yeah, so that would be good. All right, so now we've got that on there. Before I adhere that to the front, I'm going to wrap my twine now. All right, so I'm going to have a bow on this side. So I'm going to wrap it. I'll make sure I leave plenty to tie a nice big bow. So I'm just going to wrap my twine around a couple of times. We might go 3 times around. There we go. And then I'm just going to snip that off. There we go. And that's my other little elements there. All right, so I've got that wrapped around 3 times, and then I will tie a bow. And that bow is going to be, let me just see where that label is going to fit. So the label is going to be right to the edge there. So I'm going to need to tie my bow right over at the edge. And I might do what I usually do, is tie a knot first and then tie my bow. I like to do that with my linen trim because I find it hard to hold. Usually if Amber's in here with me, I'll get her to hold it for me while I tie it. But when I'm on my own, it's not so simple. So if I do that, tie it in a knot first, and then I can tie my bow. And then that way it holds. There we go. All right, and we can adjust that. I'm not going to trim that down yet. We're going to adjust that once we get all the other elements on, but at least I know I've got that ready on my card, and then we're going to adhere this piece now to my card front. So we'll use a bit of Stampin' Seal again and adhere that. Oh, got my finger stuck on there. Now I'm not going to adhere right over the top of the twine this time at the back, because I want a little bit of wiggle room in case I need to reposition the height of that once I get that label on. All right, so let's try this again. Let's put it now back on the card base. Here we go. Great. Good. That's better. Awesome. So now that's nice and solid. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to use our label now, and we're going to pop our label over the top of that. Now, because we've got the bulk there of the linen trim, I'm actually going to pop this one up on dimensionals as well. So I'm going to put dimensionals either side so that we've got that twine running through the middle there. So it kind of is straddling the twine. Tool, there we go. Just change that tool over again. And we'll pop these there and there and there and there. And I might pop, I think we need to pop some here as well, just to stabilize that part there. Alrighty, good. Take those backings off. And pop that label down there over the twine in the middle, roughly in the middle. Hopefully that's fairly in the middle. And straight. Let me use my grid paper. That's not straight. I'll lift up on that side a little bit. As I love using the grid paper to help line things up, because I was just measuring those two little points there on my grid paper then to help me to line that all up. All right, these will be trimmed in a moment. Okay, so now we've got our label, and I'm just going to lay my label on there, and then I'm going to bring in my different little elements to work out where I want to have them, because I want to be, I don't want to adhere that down yet until I make sure that I've got all of my elements on the card. And I want to make sure of where I'm going to put them first. So I'm going to pop that one there and that one coming out from there. And then this one is going to go in underneath that one. So yeah, so we'll be using Tombow for this one, I think. Yeah, so we're going to do one cluster over here. I'm going to have to do them one at a time, I think. And then we'll do the other cluster at the top, and then these ones are going to tuck in underneath. So this one is also going to be on dimensionals, because we need to fit that wood element under there as well. So this one's also going to be up on dimensionals. Yep. So I might work out this one here and this one on the opposite corner. We might put those down first, and then we can position everything else around it, because otherwise we might have trouble getting our label down. So I'll just use a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue. And pop that down in the corner. I'll line this back up again just to be sure that we can see enough of that poking out from there, and that will be great. And then we'll do the one on the other side. And pop that up the top here. And let's see if we can see that. Yep, great. So that'll be good. And then we'll be able to pop those up, and then we'll get these other elements under there as well. Okay, so we'll go with this one first. And we'll tuck that one in under here. Oops, right under there. If need be, you can always trim the ends off these ones. And we'll pop one on the other side. So with a little bit of Tombow there. Oops, oh, stuck to my finger. And pop that one up here, going in this direction, the opposite direction. So that'll go there. So I'm kind of straddling where that wood element is, or you could always chop that end bit off anyway, because you won't see that. Okay, great. Then we're going to put our leaf, our green leaf down. I'm not putting glue right to the very ends of that top leaf because I want to be able to have a little bit of dimension on that. I might need to go at a bit more of an angle over that one, perhaps. Whoops, maybe not that much. And then our little flower is going to go like that. Yep, okay, good. And then we'll get our other green leaf up on the other end. And have that coming out this way. There we go, we're getting there, getting there. Actually, this one I want to be in a little bit more. I think I've got that one coming out a bit. Is it stuck yet? Oh, look, I still got it off. Yay. That's good. I think that one was sticking out just a little bit further than I'd wanted it. Just have those two little leaves coming out, a bit more of an angle there. We want to be able to see the petal pink leaves underneath there. There we go, that's better, happier with that. Good, just give that all a nice firm press to get that under stuck down. And then, now with our flowers. So with our flowers, I'm gonna pop that under there and have that coming up like that. So if I'm just going to adhere the stem and the leaf part and leave the flower unglued at the moment. So that we can have that popping up there like that. Yep. And just adhere that down there. Yep, that's good. And then we'll do the same with the other one at the opposite angle down the bottom. So have it coming up there. Oh. We're going to do the same thing, straddle that little wood element. Might want this one to come up just a little bit more actually. Up and over. Actually, I might trim that little bit off. Where are my glue scissors? Or my tape scissors, I should say. I'm just going to trim this little leaf off because that's going to be in the wrong spot. I want to bring that up out of there. And just have to make sure that all of those extra little bits are just hidden underneath that label. There. There. Yep. That should be good. Move that over that way a bit. There we go. All right, so I know that I've got, so that looks like a hot mess under there, but nobody is going to see that because it's going to be hidden by this label. Whoops, that one keeps wanting to move. What I might do is once I get this label on, I might actually adhere that bit down to the label there, but I'll get the label on first. Yeah, okay, so now I've got to work out where to put my dimensionals, and I'm just going to use the minis so that I can get in around all of that dimension that I've just popped on there. So, because you have to be careful of where the wood elements are. So we'll just tack these on lightly on the ends. There we go. Let's see. Yep, and then we can actually, yeah, we probably only need them just on the ends there, because you've got all that other bulk underneath that is going to hold that up. So that should be, oh, in fact, actually, that one's a bit close. Let's see. That one and that one. Yeah, those two corner ones are a little bit close to where I've got the wood elements. So I'll just remove those and get them back off now. Urgh. There we go. And that one, I need to take that one off too. Okay. There and there. And now that should hold. That should hold. And we'll pop one under there too. This is the trickiest part, is trying to work out where all the dimensionals go. We want that to be nice and stable and secure, but we don't want it sagging, but we also don't want to be hitting any of those wood elements, because then it won't hold. There, that should work. Okay, so let's take off the backings there of that one and that one, that one and that one. Bring that back in, line that up, and hopefully now we've got all of those dimensionals in the right spot that that's going to adhere. There we go. Yes, good, good, good. There we go. So that is, yep. Just having a look underneath to see how those dimensionals are sitting, and that is awesome. So I'm going to tuck that little flower up over there and that one up over there, and then I'm just going to adhere their little petal. Just going to put a tiny little bit of Tombow on the back of that petal to make it sit up onto there. I might put a little bit on the wood element too, I think, just to make that sit up there. And I'll do the same with this one as well. Just put a little bit of Tombow there just to make that little petal stay put, so that it sits up onto that cardstock. That one doesn't want to stay, it's being stubborn. I think it might be the angle I have it at. But anyway, you get the idea. There. Okay, so now let's fix our bow. Oh, thank you, Julie. 2 leaves at the bottom and 1 at the top. Oh, of the, which ones, Jenny? I've stuck everything down now. Did you mean of the green, the wooden ones? I'm not sure that I can get any more in there now. I think everything's too stuck. Oh, and Athena said maybe do a double bow with the twine. I could try to do a double bow. I'm not sure if I've got enough twine though. Let's see. Let's see if I can do a double. Not sure. Do you mean, is this what you mean, Athena? Like a double bow like this? Oh, I haven't done that well. No, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. I think I'm just going to leave it as one single one. I probably need to, yes, I won't forget the bling. I've got my bling right here. Thank you, Amber. Got my bling container right here, ready to go. So I'll trim the ends up of this one now, of the twine. And we'll leave them a little bit long. And then what I can do is I'll fray the ends. I always like to fray the ends of my natural trims. So it gives it a little bit more texture. So just fray the ends a little bit there. And this one, you can leave them blunt if you want to, but I always like to just fray them up a little bit. Just to give a little bit more. There we go. And now we need some bling. So I think I'm just going to use, because we've got a lot going on there, I think I'm just going to use my, well, I was either going to use these ones or my rhinestones, which is my go-to. I've also got champagne rhinestones. They might go as well. So let's have a look and see. Champagne might go nicely because we've got the pinky tones in there. So let's just have a look and see. Oh, the green leaves, Jenny. You think it needs an extra green leaf at the bottom, do you? I'm not sure that I'll get another one in now. Oh, well, this one's kind of hidden anyway, actually, that one. So you can kind of see one there and two leaves there. That one's a little bit hidden. But, yeah, I could have probably added another one. But it's kind of a bit stuck now. Thank you, though. All right, so let's just see. Now, I was wondering about whether I should pop a large rhinestone up there and down there, because then what I can do is I can actually hide. Maybe I could do that with all corners. Let's have a look. I won't adhere them really tightly. I'll just sit them there just to see. Because then I could pop a glue dot underneath each one of those to hold that. How would that look, do you think? Is that a bit too... If I add some others in here, let's just see. Let's add the other ones in there first. Pop one there. One down there. And perhaps one up there. What do you think? If I had that on the corners, does that look a little bit too symmetrical? So I was thinking if I did that, then I can pop some extra glue dots down to hold that vellum. Otherwise, I know the vellum's not going to come off because it's adhered down in that center part there, but it might be a way that I can hide some more. What do you all think if I put those four on the corners? I haven't adhered them yet, so I can lift them back off like they're just sitting there. What do you think? Do you like that? The four on the corners? I think it doesn't look too bad. Normally I would just go with the central. Well, let's just take that one off. What if I just went 1, 2. Oh, I took off some of my embossing with that one. Whoopsie. What if I just went 1, 2? Looks okay, you reckon, Jenny? What if I just did 2 like that to sort of offset the corners? That might be nice too. All right, let's get some glue dots out and we'll pop them. Yeah, it will stop the glue dots from curling. I agree, Athena. So I'll pop a glue dot underneath each corner. Whoops. Got to get it unstuck from my tool. There we go. And I'll just make sure that I reposition that rhinestone over the top of that glue dot, and then you can't see it. All right, so you think all 4 corners, ladies, or just 2? What are you thinking about the rhinestones? There we go. 2 or 4? I like 2 actually. What do you all think? 2 or 4? So that's 2, and then I can add the other 2 back in if we need to. But that'll help hold it. It'll help hold that down. I just lost a little bit of my 4, you think, Jenny? All right, let's go with 4. All 4 corners, Athena? Okay. Let's go with all 4. And Robin thinks all 4 as well. Alrighty, let's do all 4. That will help to hold that down really well. And I'll pop that bling back on there. And then we'll do the other one. And then we'll be done. I think that was a mammoth live today. That went really long today. There we go. Thank you all for sticking with me. There we go. Finito. Done. Beautiful. Great. So there's lots of layers on there. So we've got a lot of white space, which is great. Oh, hi, Laurie. You're still here. Thank you so much. Yeah, so, oh, I haven't got that one quite in the right spot. I just realized it's a bit low. I'll just move that up a little bit. It's a little bit low in comparison to the other one. Got to have them matching on the corners. There we go. That's a bit better. Yeah, so lots of layers there, lots of texture, which is awesome, but also lots of white space, which really brings your focus into the focal image of the card, which I love. I love having a bit of white space sometimes. So a lot of my cards are filled with lots of detail, but I do like having a bit of white space sometimes too. So yeah. So there you go. I hope you all really liked that one. That was a lot of fun. Alrighty, so I'm going to tip the camera up so that I can say goodbye to you all. Let me put my very bright pink, my very bright pink camera cover on again, and we'll tip you back up the right way. Oops, is that going to stick? That's not going to stick. There we go. Hopefully that's going to stay in place. No, it's going to want to fall. Hopefully it'll stay long enough for me to just tip. No, I lost it. Oh dear. Hang on a sec. Where's my washi tape? There it is. Let me use my washi tape. Hopefully that will stick long enough for me to just quickly flick my camera down. Okay. No idea if I've got that in the right. Oh yes, that's not too bad. Okay. I was thinking it might have been a bit low then, but that's not too bad. Okay, great. There's my little card. It's a very cute little card. So I hope you all really liked that one. Can you see that embossing? Can you see the embossing on the background on the vellum? Just softens it. And the other thing you could do too, as I said, I wanted the focus on that, you know, central part there, but what you could do as well is if you wanted to put another designer series paper or something behind there, then the vellum would actually soften that down. So if you wanted to incorporate a little bit of some of the color, oh, what is it called? Not in color, the color collection, the color collection designer series paper, that would be nice too in perhaps the petal pink or the Flirty Flamingo, and then with the vellum over the top as well would just soften down those colors a little bit. So yeah, there's lots of different ideas that you can use with that. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, you learned a few more tricks. That's awesome, Robin. I love it when I teach you new tricks. That's cool. That's good. Oh, thank you so much, Robin. That's lovely. Well, I hope you all have a great week wherever you are and whatever you're doing this week. Again, remember, if there's anything that you need, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me and get in contact with me and let me know. And again, remember, if you would like to join my team, get in contact with me. I would love to have you as part of our team. We have a lovely time together, and my team is filled with beautiful ladies who are also welcoming, and we have a great time together. So, oh, thank you so much, Rose. Thank you all so much for being with me today, and thanks to those of you who stuck with me to the end. I know that it was very long today. It was a little bit more fiddly than I was anticipating. But thankfully I had a couple of those elements pre-prepared, because it would have been even longer if I didn't. So, all right, to eat my dinner. So I'm going to go and have an early dinner tonight. And have a great week, everyone. And I hope to see you all again next week on Monday at 4 o'clock. And oh, Rose, you're going to make this card. Awesome. I would love to see it when you do. Fantastic. So until next time, everyone, happy crafting. Bye.